Thank you, good morning, and thank you for everybody who has contributed to have this kind of event in Tallinn, in Estonia, and I disagree with you, Eero. I think Tallinn can be fully also a heart of diplomatic world where I come from, but also you have set together with our Estonian Centre of Development Cooperation now the milestone that can be also a Centre of Humanitarian debates. So, good morning to everybody, and I'm glad to be here. I have been in my position a bit more than a year now, so I don't qualify as somebody who has a deep knowledge of the topic of humanitarian work. But I have learned many things through this year of mine in this area. This autumn, Estonia actually celebrates 25 years since Estonia has made this change that Eero actually mentioned about, from being a recipient of humanitarian assistance to become a donor. So it's also remarkable that we have this event here today in that point. And the first country Estonia ever gave a humanitarian aid was Ukraine, and that was the floods in 1998. So unfortunately, Ukraine has become also now our main top humanitarian recipient of humanitarian assistance. And I think this is an example of immense needs created by man-made crisis, but also immense national resilience of the Ukrainians. So where is our Ukrainian colleague here from the embassy? So I want to underline that, having been now also throughout the war several times myself in Kiev and outside of it, that this resilience is impressive. So, but also we have to learn through that man-made crisis that we have to explore new modes, how to provide us assistance, and also an example, it is the Ukrainian war, or Russian war against Ukraine, to put it correctly, is an also unprecedented example of solidarity that people have shown towards Ukraine. In this last 25 years, the humanitarian needs have been continued to grow, and the funding to respond to these is not keeping up, and is not expected to keep up with it. The humanitarian system is underfunded and overstretched, everybody knows that. And the main concern, of course, is that Eero said that we won't talk about it, but I mentioned still that anyway, is the respect for international humanitarian law and the fundamental humanitarian principles around the world is patchy the best, and with civilians being these who suffer the most in every conflict. And that's not even talking about the impact of climate change that deepens every humanitarian crisis. So we need to face this situation and admit that we need to do things differently. And therefore the topic, I think, is very timely. And what I discussed is today here, data-based and digitalized approaches, aid localization, cash-based assistance. I think they can all be very instrumental and practical when used wisely. So one good example is cash-based assistance, which helps the local economy and gives the affected people more dignity. I've seen that the actions of our Refugee Council in Ukraine itself, and that was a keen interest for everybody. We involved our local partners there to hear how it's going, and it was very impressive to see. Another one is the working together with local actors who can make the most, have the most valuable knowledge about those people really in need, and that can be one of the most effective way to function. They are not new subjects that I underline here, but I hope the same way that I guess you do, that we are not using only today, or you are not using only today the buzzwords and that just a talk, but also have a very practical discussions about how to use this new ways to provide humanitarian assistance. It is particularly important for Estonia because Estonians are very pragmatical and want to get things done, but not necessarily always in the way that they have been done before. So we have been, in this 25 years that I mentioned, very global and principled humanitarian donor, I would say. We are strong per capita when we talk about our part in the humanitarian assistance, but not necessarily the size, of course, and the reach. So when you talk about it, so but for us, therefore, is even more important efficient humanitarian system, and where these values or these contributions that we make add the most value. So we are absolutely happy to contribute in this context to this discussion. As I guess every country, and I'm sure it is so, also Estonian humanitarian aid policy and its implementation are based on the fundamental humanitarian principles and other frameworks for humanitarian aid, including those of the good humanitarian donorship, which Estonia is co-chairing with UK in the next 2 years. So coordinating the humanitarian system and the preservation of humanitarian space are among the topics that we hope to focus on these 2 years. Our humanitarian assistance is provided through multilateral and bilateral challenge, and since 2002 we work on bilateral way with our strategic partners. So Estonian Refugee Council being one of them, for example. So, and I'm therefore particularly happy that this conference brings together our multilateral, bilateral partners, and that you have the opportunity to debate new ways to provide humanitarian assistance. So I hope that you have good talks in Tallinn. As Madle said, brave to be here in November, but even braver to go deep into these topics that you have on the table. Thank you.